What is happening, everybody? Welcome in here, middle of May. Wisconsin springtime, always interesting, as my guest today can attest, having been a lifer here in the great state of Wisconsin, because it is the May month of service, and we're talking all things service departments. I thought it would be important to bring on someone whose job it is to bring people in to your dealership from a employee perspective. I think we talk so much on our show about marketing and data and this and that and processes. We forget a lot that we need people to fill these opportunities for us. And so that's why I think it's important that we talk to people who look at the spectrum and have an opportunity to see different cultures, different approaches, different hiring practices. All those things play in. And I'm really excited to talk to today's guest from Wrenchway, Jay Goninen. Jay, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. A big fan of everything that you do and all the content you put out and everything you're doing for the industry. So huge pleasure for me to be here today.
Thanks a lot, man. We love to hear that. It's a great opportunity for us to sort of get into this part of it. As I said, I've grown up on the front end, even as a GM. I had great service people, so it never occurred to me to walk very far back into that department unless I was having an OSHA violation because I was taking a customer back through the shop to show them that their car was broken because they didn't believe my guys. And I'd always get yelled at for that. I'm pretty much sure they asked me not even to do it. So what I decided to do, Jay, to avoid all those headaches was I made it my morning routine to park my car in the back of the service department and walk through it in the morning, say my hellos. People would say, yes, Sean, I'll just stay out of here for the rest of the day. and that would be how it goes. So Jay, as customary with this year and sort of what we've been doing on the show recently, we like to have the guests, yourself, bring the topic, bring the passion. So Jay, I ask you, what are we talking about today?
So one thing that I really wanted to talk about in general was having dealerships understand what makes them unique or different. And really, I think maybe to take that in a step further is to have them take an honest look in the mirror and understand, are you a good place to work? Are you a great place to work? Are there things to work on? But truly understanding where you stand in the eyes of an employee. I think we do a really good job at that from the standpoint of explaining that to a customer. And maybe I use that statement loosely because I think there's still some dealerships that don't do a great job at explaining that to a customer. But we really, as an industry, struggle to be able to differentiate ourselves in terms of why one dealership is different from another, and especially through the lens of an employee. So being able to understand what makes them different and unique and what stories you have, I think is so important. And in order to do that, you've kind of got to take a step back, look at who you are as a company. Is it flattering? Is it maybe not so flattering? Are there areas for improvement? And really for me, being able to get people to look in the mirror and understand where they truly stand at, right? And I think, I don't know, I'm curious from your perspective if you see that, but it's definitely something where we see where there's a lot of dealerships that maybe don't do a great job at that.
Yeah, Jay, I think it's interesting. You talk about conveying the message to the customer, right? And we're always talking about the customer experience, the user experience. And someone the other day on the show, Sean Butler, he said, hey man, what about the employee experience? And it was like, and you thought to yourself like, holy shit, we never really talk about what it's like for people to work where they work. Now, Jay, you know this group probably as well as I do in the Zimrick Automotive Group. And this is a group of people who everywhere, that's who I grew up working with, right? So those are the people I know. So when I look at the car business, it's 4:00 on Saturday, we're closed. It's 6:00 on Wednesday, we're closed. Everyone's been there 30 years retiring this. I was just at a retirement party for a finance guy, been there 28 years, right? And so you're like, that's the car dealership. No, that's not. That is a bubble in a very small pond of people that does things the right way. So I think it's easy. Because in my company, I'm sure much like yours, we try to surround ourselves with like those kinds of people, right? So when I hear horror stories of dealerships, people are like, man, you should help them. It's like, nope, can't help themselves, Jay. And I think it's interesting because I have the conversation a lot with dealers all the time about their marketing, right? Be honest,
Yeah.
you're not doing well at marketing. That discussion can already be difficult. But you're asking them to basically admit to you that their dealership's a poor place to work, or they're terrible at hiring, or a bad combination of both. And I don't know, man, someone's money, they can get over that. Someone's like hiring practice and their state of their business, probably not as easy. So I don't envy you, but I respect the shit out of the fact that's your approach, that's what you do and you ask people to do, because even having them say, tell me honestly about your marketing, you get a, well, this, and then I do that because of this, and I'm that because of that. And it's just like, there's a reason followed by an excuse, followed by a reason, followed by an excuse. And you think, yeah, but what would he say about his employees? So, do you now, okay, all right. So this is another question then. So do you see this from the perspective of people who continually need your help and continually need to fulfill a position over and over, and then like the third time you ask this question, or do you ask it like right away, like we met each other, why am I here, and kind of accept that answer? What do you hear from people when they're telling you like, yeah, I need my third mechanic in 6 months, but this place is buttoned up and a tremendous place to work, so we're just you could mind past that. What now, Jay?
It's funny that you say that. I've had some really tough, candid conversations with dealerships where they aren't looking in the mirror, right? And it's a challenge because maybe it's because I'm an outside perspective on their dealership, and we see all kinds of different dealerships in our business, that we can bring that perspective to where maybe they don't see it because they're in it every day. But being able to say, hey, listen, I know it's funny to me, they'll put an ad out and it'll say we have great management, and I always laugh because it's typically the manager that's the one writing that they have great management. But I think getting them to understand that nobody's perfect, and that's okay. You need to just understand where your weak points are. And I think from the service side of the business, and even the fixed op side of the business in general, where we've been kind of pushed against the wall here and forced to look at this a different way, because it's not the same way it always was, where it was at one point pretty easy to find mechanics. You know, if you look 30 years ago, it was far different than it is today. But because there's a shortage of talent and a shortage of people, it's moved you into a position where you've got to sell yourself to a tech. And especially the good ones, they have jobs. They're not, they're not just going to go pick up and leave their job to go to another place that treats them in a way that they perceive as poor. They're going to make a move to some place that they see as a place that's going to treat them great and has career growth opportunities and has those kind of things. And I think the beauty in getting somebody to sit back and have that light bulb go off and just say, okay, we're not as perfect as we think we are, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to be perfect. There's no business out there that's perfect. But understanding where your weaknesses are and growing in those weaknesses and really making it a better place to work, I think, to me, it's very personal to me, because I think our industry needs to improve when it comes to techs. And it needs to improve because their job isn't very easy. It's not like, regardless of how much we want to glorify it, right? Like, I think there's been so much of the conversation that's been around, well, we're not grease monkeys anymore. You still get dirty. I mean, like anytime I've been in a shop, like the techs are still dirty. Like, it's not like that just went away. So like, being realistic that, you know what, this is a hard job and we're going to do whatever we can to make your life easier. But for me, the biggest struggle with dealerships is getting them to understand that just getting by on the status quo doesn't work anymore. You need to be working at ways to improve the lives of the people that work for you. And you can't just say that you're doing good at it, right? You can't just say that you care about the technicians. You've got to show them that you care about them. And I'm curious, out of your experience, if maybe you've seen that before, or where maybe, I don't know, I've sat in those meetings where I'm listening to a manager talk and they're like, we care about our people, we love our people. And then you see the actions and they don't quite add up or match what they're saying, right?
No, it happens quite a lot. And there's a couple things you said there that I want to get to. I mean, look, the struggle part of, status quo anymore is not going to work. I said this the other day on a post. that this is by far the most empowered generation of employees to ever be available to earth, right? Everyone knows there's a shortage of something. Everyone's getting paid this. You and I had an exchange, I think, on one of your posts where I was like, dude, I mean, pick and save Packers third shift, $30 an hour, dude. Just, 8 hours with your earbuds in, go home, go back to bed. It's $10,000 signing bonus. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I had a pretty reasonable signing bonus when I signed for my corporate job. And now I look at it, here I am a decade later, like, that was some bullshit. Like, that was, I mean, they're giving it away at pick and save now, or whatever. So, that part of it, I think people need to realize that if you don't have, and it doesn't mean ping pong tables and coffee shops and vegan food for everyone. That's not what we're talking about. But I also think, Jay, there's a tough thing here. You talked about the outside perspective, right? I was just with, as I mentioned, our clients, Zimbrick Automotive, at one of their parties they invited us to, and we're sitting there, we're talking, and one of the guys said, Sean, it's just, after all this time, 9-10 years working together, it's your outside perspective that is what we value most about our partnership across the group, is that we are in our bubble. We try to stay there for multiple reasons, because we think it's good for us to focus on only our business and not look at other horses and not deal with that. However, we are shut off. And so you probably run into that quite a bit. I once asked my employees to write my job post back when Monster was a thing and I was running stores, and no one ever did it. And it made me almost wonder, like, well, why? And they were like, Sean, we don't want to upset you. It's like, what do you mean upset me? Like, what? I know I'm an asshole, especially now, dude. Holy cow. Looking back at when I ran stores, today, I don't know that I'd work for me. This version of me, I don't know that would work for that version of me. I certainly would not fit today's cultural stuff as far as all that goes. And because as much as I grew up around people like the Zimbrick Group, I cut my teeth with the Chicago car business, where that's 9 to 5 is how you get fired. Those are the hours you work on your last day. I grew up, in that way. But it was always, you could always do and pull people with money, right? So mechanics, Jay, I think there's a two-part to this thing, right? I think people can give exceptional places to work. And I think sometimes employees can push that limit to the greed limit. And they say to themselves, because I'm empowered, because I know they need me, because I know there's a shortage, every week I'm going to ask for another $5, or I'm going to ask for another this or another that. And I think there's a point of sort of bend there, where the dealer's like, great. So we had a couple of our stores in Madison where that was happening, right? Mechanics were like, yep. Finally, the GM's like, you know what? No. They're like, we're going to leave for Tesla. And he's like, go ahead. Go. March your shit. I'll even pack it for you. March it out the door. Go do that. And I don't know, let's say 6 months. I'll let you back in here without any I won't be that hard on you. You know what I mean? But I'll let you back. 4 months later, people want their jobs back, because corporation or not, you might not want to work in the Tesla model. That might not be a thing for you, especially coming from a community-driven, great hours, please take your time, please let the customer know we're taking our time, appreciation. So Jay, from where you sit, when you're having that difficult discussion with that owner about potentially baby ugliness, for lack of a better term,
I like that.
Well, I don't have kids, so it's really easy for me to say shit like that. So don't forgive me if it's rude, right. But for that perspective, what happens when you realize that you're being fed something that maybe they don't even realize they're feeding you? Like, how do you help them? Because part of the job from an outside perspective is always therapy. I don't care what anyone says, any job anyone has. It's about helping people understand how we got where we are. So what do you do when you realize the story has hit has jumped the shark, and you say to yourself, no way, now what, Jay?
I think that's where it's so important to get that light bulb to come on, because if it doesn't come on, you're arguing with the wall, right? Like, if somebody's just so defensive that they're not going to change their style regardless of what you say, unfortunately there's some dealer principles that just aren't helpable, right? Like, there's just nothing you're going to do or say that's going to change their mind. And honestly, those are the folks that we probably don't want on our program, right? Like, that's the ones that if I were in my good conscience to have to recommend a family member go work for them, I probably wouldn't. And so I think for me, it's having those conversations, understanding that they've got difficulties, right? I'm going to be empathetic and sympathetic of their situation and where they're at, but most likely they're calling us for a reason, right? They can't find people. And so if they're just completely shut down to the fact that they're not going to change, they're just, this is the way we've always done it, this is the way we're always going to do it. I'll probably say, you know what, best of luck. We're
Yeah.
probably not a great fit for you. But
Keep
you
doing
can
what you're
have,
doing, right? I mean, no problem.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it's the thing, right, Jay? It's always interesting in our position. At least it feels this way.
yeah,
That we're getting the call, right? I didn't call you. I
yeah,
didn't. My friends didn't refer me to you. That's not how I've grown our business over 9 years. Repeat referral. No sales team. No nothing. No nothing.
yeah,
Tried it for the first 6 months. Thought that's what I needed to do for my startup, and bullshit. I needed to get 3 clients who really love what I did and were willing to let me use their name and introduce me to 3 of their friends. And we turned this thing into the Brady Bunch screen. And here we are 9 years later. But the part of it is when you look at the way that people approach the discussion of being different, not changing things, Jay, why do you think there's such a pushback? Is it because it's probably because it's their business, right? Owners seem to get very defensive over things that otherwise could be just a conversation. They don't have to be. You called
confrontational,
me.
right?
I'm here to help you. I didn't. You know what I mean? So like, that's what I keep coming back to. And people after they call us, they get done. They talk to us. We give them some advice, whatever, and they say, "Yeah, we'll follow up with you." Right? Which that's kiss of death. No, I mean, if you're interested, normally people they don't just say they'll follow up with you. I found that in my time. But they say, I'm going to go a different direction, which for us is weird because you called us and we're very niche. There isn't a lot of people or things who do what it is that we do as specifically as we do it. So we're weirded out by that. But I feel like it's like a win for us. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Yeah,
people hear what you have to say. They hear your pitch and they go, not for me. And it feels like that's a good thing instead of a bad thing. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I think a lot of times that's where you can get really good feedback too, right? Where if they're open to telling you that, you can say, okay, can you tell me a little bit more why? And it's not even like, hey, I'm going to try and change your mind. It's more of
Yeah,
like,
no.
how can we better help you out, right?
Yeah.
And so I always look forward to those conversations. Now, going back to the part about where you're talking about the defensiveness and really
Yeah.
where you're trying to have those conversations, I get it because in a lot of cases they've worked their ass off to build what they've built, right? And they did it a lot of times by putting in a lot of hours, a lot of money, blood, sweat, tears, whatever. They've worked their tails off for
Mhm.
that. And so to have somebody from an outside perspective come in and tell them maybe how to run their business or how to change running their business, uh, it it's their baby. And if you're calling that baby ugly, like you said, it's get ready for defensiveness, right? Because it's like they've put everything they've got into this thing, and it's created them a really great life. And if you're closed minded to that, I think, or maybe let me rephrase that. If you're not open to that as a vendor and you're going into those conversations and not understanding that piece of it, and you're easily offended by those types of conversations, this is probably the wrong business for you to be in. But it is also something where you get it, right? Like I've worked my tail off to grow my business, right? And I get it. I'm probably defensive of my own business, and I'm sure you're defensive of your business as well. And it's because you've put so much effort into it, and so much of your heart goes into that. It's like another family member, and maybe even a bigger piece than a family member in a lot of cases. So I get why they're defensive, or those individuals that are. What I would say is, for those of you that are defensive, open your mind a little bit in that regard, because there's some really good vendors out there that are trying to help you out, and they're not doing it for bad reasons. Like, they're trying to help you grow your business. And in my case, I do take it very much to heart if somebody gives us feedback, or gives us a suggestion on a way to adjust the product, or whatever it is, our platform. It doesn't matter. It's more, I I get it. And I get why you're frustrated when somebody recommends something different than what you're doing. But the more you can be open to those conversations and view those partners as true partners, I think the more success you're going to have. Because when you build that relationship, you've talked about Zimbrick, and I've heard you talk about Zimbrick in the past. That's a client of ours as well, and they're really good people to deal with, just genuinely good people to deal with. And that's where good partnerships come from. We're working our tails off for them because we want them to do well on our program. And we've had it the opposite way of that, where you enter a relationship with a dealer group and they're defensive right off the bat. Like, what are we paying for? If we haven't got, we signed up yesterday and we don't have any text today, like, what's going on? And you're like, all right, this one's probably not going to end well. And I know it right now. But if you have that conversation, okay, this didn't work so well. Let's tweak this. Let's do this. See if that works. Those are the relationships that, one, from a vendor standpoint, are a lot of fun to have, and you grow lifelong partnerships and just relationships, good friends out of it.
Yeah.
But if you're just combative all the time, you're not utilizing the vendors the way you should. You're not getting all of the bang for your buck out of those relationships.
And because our position in life is between the dealer and the vendor, and obviously we side with the dealer because that's who pays our bills. Let's not lie to each other. But I try to be in the middle, right? Recently had a client who missed some co-op deadlines, got a little pissed off about it, blame the vendor. And I was like, cool, we'll talk to the vendor, but what internal audits do we have? How did that happen? Like, what? I know they didn't send the documents. I get it. And the girl who used to do it didn't do it. Just thought, okay, fine. But what are we doing internally to say, where's this document for this month? I don't have the audit, right? Going back to Zimbrick, these are some of the most detailed people I've ever worked with in my life. Like, we had a weird thing happen with our invoice system, was bouncing back invoices. The lead lady who takes care of all the payables over there emailed us like end of the month. She's like, Sean, we didn't get the normal 15th invoice during my audit. And I was just like, I'm sorry, did you just ask me to pay you? She's like, well, at least invoice me so I can pay you, and it was just like, you don't run into that very often with people who are trying to do that and look through it. So, vendors have to take responsibility too. Vendors can be very defensive
100%.
when things don't go their way, right?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working with a new group in the South who, they got one agency, then half the stores like it, half the stores don't. The other stores want to get rid of it, and everybody doesn't like change. And so you're just like, well, all right, why are we here? How did we get here? And everyone's like, doesn't matter, got to sell cars. Like, no, guys, if we can't stop a second and decide that you're upset and why you're upset is not just because you didn't have more ups this week than last week. Like, marketing doesn't work that way. So any changes we've made in the last 2 weeks are not representative of the 2 weeks of traffic in front of you. But again, my job is to put the fire out, man. Same company, they all put me on a group email and they're like, yeah, Sean, tell us all this. And I was like, no way. No way. We will work through this. We will give this time. And the guy who started the chain, he texted me. He's like, Sean, I thought you were on my side. I'm like, no way. Not in the group. There's no way. Of course, I feel your frustration when we're on the phone, but I'm not going to take that to the rest of all. No, that's not how we get anything done. So when you have, from where you are, when you have that right client, right, as we say, who needs the help, what traits do you find that they can easily describe about themselves as why someone would want to work there? Or what do you see as obvious reasons as why someone would want to work there?
Well, I'll tell you what it's not right off the bat, right? It's not free uniforms. It's not health insurance. Those aren't things that are going to move the needle for a company. And the more that they start to understand that, the better. I think one of the biggest complaints we get, especially from technicians, is that they feel like they're treated like a number. If they don't hit their build hours or if they don't hit their goals for some specific time, they're going to get disciplined, and maybe they don't hear from management other than that, right? They're only hearing that discipline conversation. So I think it's really hard from an employer standpoint to explain that, right? It's really hard for them to get out in front of that because a lot of times a technician's not going to know that until they're in the environment, right? They don't know who the manager they're going to be working for is until they get to the interview. They have an hour-long awkward conversation, and nobody's really all that comfortable in that conversation. So I think for us, and this is where, I talk about employer marketing a lot with our tool, with everything, but being able to create content that shows the personality of who you are, going back to what I talked about with understanding what makes you unique, those are the things that really, I always hear, well, it's our people that make us unique. It's our people that make us unique. And I'm like, well, who are those people? Like,
Show us the
tell me,
people.
show us the people. And so many shops are so guarded of their people that they don't want to show them off because they're afraid that they're going to get poached, right? Somebody's going to come and take them. And my philosophy always has been, you're worried about the wrong damn thing. Worry
Yeah.
about creating an environment that's so good to them
Why
that
would
they
they
can't
leave?
leave.
Why would they leave?
Exactly.
It's not like
Exactly.
mechanics can go start their own businesses, right? For the most part, like, yeah,
Right.
you can go be a travel mechanic. Like, that's a whole thing. That's a whole deal. For the most part, you're going to go shop to shop, right?
Yeah.
Just like sales guys selling cars.
Yeah.
You're going to go shop to shop. You're going to be that. I never wanted to have the place that was going to be the lowest price or the most price, right? Whatever that was. And I like how you say that, health insurance, all that, right? It's like when you ask dealerships for Wi-Fi and they're like, we got a shuttle, coffee, and Wi-Fi. And you're like,
who gives a shit?
I would hope so, bro. I would like, holy shit, it's 2021 or 2 or whatever. Like, I would assume that's a part of your deal. So yeah, you're talking about the people. So we've recently started a social media part of our offer where we look just solely at that data, the organic data. Forget the paid data. I really don't even care. The organic data, which most dealers don't look at because I found it ain't easy to find. Right. In Facebook and Instagram. Like, if you aren't already tracking it, it's gone. And you got to pay some company to scrape it, which I'm learning because we're paying. And we're going back and getting everyone's history for them and compilating it and saying to them, look, what were you doing in 2014? And they go, oh my God, we had this girl. And you always hear the same story. Oh, we had this one oh, you did you? And let me guess, they quit on, that'd be January of 2016. They're like, man, how did you see that? It's like, it's right here, man. It's literally right here. I need you to be with me and understand that. Oh, but Sean, social media doesn't sell cars. Well, can we talk about the years of 2014 to 2016 versus the years of 2016 to 2018? Yes, we can. Yes, and so on and so forth. And so when you look at the data, you talk about content. Most dealers are in this like handcuff struggle, Jay. I don't know. What do I do, Sean? What do I do? How do I create content? Where do I go? Where do I go? Here, I'll give you one place no one ever gets to go. The service department. Just go back there and take a reel of a mechanic. I want to know how he puts my rim back on my tire because I have winter tires. So I'm always interested in how that takes place. I want to see it. It sounds silly. A car getting PDI, the stickers, guys, it's all there for you. If you take 30 steps into the department with a camera and just say, yeah, that was cool. Yeah, this is cool, right? I mean, Jay, am I missing something? Is it that terrible back there? There's nothing that they could do to shine a light on the content back there?
Two things there. One, I'm super jealous of every dealership that's out there because you have new content rolling in the door every single day. And you've got variables. There's a reason why, and this is, I guess, my second point is there's a reason why you turn on Discovery Channel and half the shows are automotive focused, or they're people building motorcycles, or whatever it is. That it's genuinely intriguing content, and it's really cool stuff because we might take it for granted because we see it every day, but that consumer or that technician might see it. And I use the technician one because I think it's super valuable, is that maybe they see a scan tool that you've got, or maybe they see some other type of training that you're doing, or something that's different than the place that they're at. And that's the unique stuff. Or they see the personalities in there and they're like, man, that looks like a really cool place to work. Maybe they just catch him
in his, Brett Favre jersey for a Sunday Packer, Saturday Packer day. So whatever it is, maybe he's just smiling and legitimately happy to do a video on Instagram for a minute and a half. Like, I don't really know. And I'm tired of this whole like, oh, our service departments those guys are they keep to themselves. And they're like, come on, dude. Like, these guys are young. They have personalities. They're into their jobs. They love. What if you showcase one of those badass toolboxes, dude? What's in drawer 7 today, Joe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Share with us drawer 7. What is going on here? And it's over. 30 seconds, drawer 7. You just saw the tools he uses to whatever. And I think to myself, is it because we don't want to take the time? Or is it because we just genuinely don't see it as an opportunity? Or worse yet, a combination of both, in which I feel like we should be able to get past this by now.
So to me, one position, I think if I were in the in a dealer principal's shoes right now, I would hire a videographer tomorrow. And the reason for that is if you've got somebody that can go around and document everything, and it doesn't have to just be service related, right? Like there are
No,
some
no,
cool
no, the
things
whole
that happen on the
dealership,
front
every
end.
event, if you have those, all of them do it. And Jay, the thing I was just saying to Kaylee Fiello, I was talking with her and she had put up on a post and I said, yeah, I think dealership should hire a video/social moderator.
Yeah.
Someone whose complete responsibility it is to maintain the social pages. And dealers, just so you know, when I say social moderation, I am not just talking about you posting and not going and commenting on other people's stuff. Okay. If you really want to be a part of your community, for instance, locally, we tell our dealerships to go to the local mechanic hiring area, the colleges, the tech colleges, like their content, comment on their content, because that's what's going to share you across. So if all you're going to do is post, and then maybe you'll comment when someone comments on your post, which by the way, should be like 100% of the time. If someone takes even the moment to make a post on your comment on your post, guys, automotively speaking, say thank you. I mean, at minimum, just go back on one line, say thank you. And God forbid they do it in I don't know, in Spanish, then reply in Spanish. Like, please come together on this community-driven thing, because I think, to Jay's point, if we can truly showcase who our people are and who our community is, people will want to go there, right? I remember wanting to work for Zimbrick before I even knew about who they were, because that's who my grandparents did business with. And that's how life was. And I was just like, that was really simple and easy. And then I got a taste of Chicago car business. Then I moved to Colorado. And when I came back here, I got a chance to work with them through the contract I was on. I was like, man, this is what I was thinking about.
Well, and their branding is so great, right? Like they've got a great logo. Yeah. They've got, they're
the big blue Z.
Yeah, they're everywhere in Madison. I look at them and that's something we're working with them on right now, is being able to kind of show off who they are a little bit, because they do have really good personalities. And that's, even though there's Zimbrick, there's one big Zimbrick, right? Every single different dealership location has different personalities in it. Yep. They have different stories in them. They're working on different types of cars. Like there's just so much that's there. And when dealerships really start to grasp that, hey, you know what? This is pretty cool. We do have some cool content rolling in the door, and it just happens to be on the backside of our business rather than the front side. Oh my goodness. Guess what? All this marketing, like all this stuff we're trying to rack our brains around, trying to create a brand, it's literally right there. You just have to capture it. And it is funny because we'll still get arguments about that. We're like, I'm not showing my people. I'm not showing them off. And I'm like, okay, fair, but don't expect your job to get any easier when it comes to finding people. Like, and to me, it's just so obvious what people need to do in order to attract talent. And it's funny with our pages, like we have some that put them out on their webpage, and we encourage that. We love that. But I had a fixed ops director say, well, what if our customers see that? Because we asked the customers to provide the dealerships to provide a lot of transparency, right? We talk about pay, we talk about benefits, we talk about all this stuff. And they said, well, what if our customers see that? I'm like, hell yeah, let your customers see this, because they start to see that, you know what, it's not the mechanic that you're paying $10 an hour anymore. Like you're paying these people some pretty major cash in a lot of regards. They see the backside. They start to, you can gain trust with the technicians if the consumer sees it. Like it's almost like the consumer thinks they're getting a backside view and they shouldn't be seeing it. But if they do see it, why not? Like this helps you justify your prices. It helps you gain trust. It helps everything.
It's transparency, right? In all departments. I think at dealerships has been difficult. I'll never forget the look on the owner's face I worked for in 2003 when I went into his office. And I'm like, look, I'm going to sell this guy 2 cars right now. I just need the copies of both invoices. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I just need copies of both invoices. Because we're going to do this dance anyways. You're going to take 4 hours to do it. I just don't have the time for this. Mentally, I don't want to deal with this guy for 4 hours. So just give me the invoice. I'll show it to him. I'll ask him for plus 500. You're cool with that, right? Yeah, because we've been doing 250 deals all day. So I'll go get 500. I'm just going to use this paper to do it. God hope he believes me, because I know that's going to be an argument that I printed this up in the back and stuff, and it's fake. But I did it, brought it out. Guys like, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, this is the invoice. Of course. No, it's not. Okay, here's the Nissan stamp. Yep, fine. Now you believe me? Great. I'm looking for 500 over. That's it? Yep, cool. Wrap it up. 2 car deals, 1 hour. See you later. Have a nice day. And people were like, Sean, you can't self-invoice. here's the thing. You're going to end up there. This was before they knew all they knew. This was 2003, dude. Okay. And by the way, we delivered both those cars to that dude's house and did his paperwork at his house. So you don't need like shipping agents and Carvana and all these other people to show you. The idea of being transparent and open with the customer has existed for much longer than anything anyone's talking about currently today. And I think 100%. The same applies to hiring, Jay. I think the fact of the matter is, if you want good people, you have to show it to them. And to the next person who tells you they don't want to show their people, I would ask, would they delete a review on their Google My Business page about one of their mechanics? Because I don't think so. And so if you wouldn't delete a positive comment of someone speaking about your people, why not allow an entire community of people to hop on and say, oh my God, I love Jay. Jay is the best. Yeah, Jay is one of our friends. Blah, 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 blah. And dealers, if you're going to do what Jay's asking, then you boost it. Okay, I know it's going to get crazy over there, but you'll boost it. Then it's going to go to all your mechanics friends because you're going to tag your mechanic because he's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. Please don't do these things and just forget all these important details because it's going to make Jay's job and your job easier to find the next great hire. If you just 100%. Follow the basics, Jay, right?
Oh my gosh, you got me so fired up right there because that's exactly what we try to get across every time, right? Is that don't like the days of trying to hide them in the back and trying to I don't know, like just protect your people.
Or worse yet, just bring them out the back door so they can have their barbecue by themselves around where they work all day instead of up front where the sales guys are having it off to the side. You got to separate. Stop with that. Just bring the back forward, bring the forward back. Have these people understand, you know, my dad raised me around every sport you could imagine, man. It did not matter what day of the week it was on a TV. I saw it. I found it. When I was younger, I didn't really get into all the sports, but I followed them all. Golf, NASCAR. I understood them at a basic level. When I got to a dealership, it was so key to have that well-rounded knowledge. My mechanics like talking NASCAR. Owner likes talking golf. Sales guy likes talking basketball. Finance guys or hockey guys. Whatever it was, you were able to connect. And then you'd be able to bring people together on a common goal. Well, now the common goal is the badass place we get to work. And I feel like if people would take the time, Jay, that not that I would make your life so much easier. I was going to say, Jay, I'm not sure they would need you, man, if they were doing things right socially and really spreading the word, but they do because you have to be able to take that and then harvest it. You know what I mean? Like you can plant the seeds and do all that, but there's more work to be done in capturing those people. So Jay, as we sort of, you've been super generous with your time, man. I really appreciate it. As we sort of tie this up, we talked about people's, you know, sort of what certainly doesn't attract people to buy from you, right? Where your free uniforms, such as insurance, things of that nature, which is interesting because I think a lot of people get worried about going to car dealerships or exchanging jobs that maybe they had where good insurance was a thing. I think dealers worry about that too. And so to your point, again, be transparent with the offer. But Jay, let me ask you, how often do you hear mechanics talk about hours of work, right? And I don't mean hours of work completed. I mean their slice of life over another $3 an hour or anything like that, like 4-day work weeks over 5-day, the kind of stuff that, you know, again, Zimrick, I mean, just everyone should go work there. But so they've been doing the 4-day work week thing for a little bit, piloting some of the stores between service and sales. What are you hearing as far as people saying, Jay, it's not always about money for me? Because you obviously talk to a lot of mechanics.
Yeah. So the one thing my good friend at ASE, George Aarons, talks about is that, you know, he calls himself a gray hair or no hair. He says all of us gray hairs or no hairs, we all live to work. And he said, I think the younger generations are coming up. They're working to live. And he said, I give him a lot of credit for this because he always says, and they might have it right. And so I think you're absolutely on point with that, where we need to be looking at ways and talking to people and understanding where we can help them out, right? And if it's scheduling, if, you know, I've got a 5-year-old son and I've got a nephew that's 9 years old and starting to get into sports and everything like that. People have lives outside of work, and it's really hard to get around that when you're focused on work all the time. And if you can't take off to go to your kid's soccer game on a Saturday morning, that makes trouble at home, right? Your wife's then upset with you. And so conversely, maybe you've got the person that's an empty nester or never had kids or is just wants to work 100 hours a week regardless. I think understanding that these are individuals and that we try to put technicians under this one umbrella and we try to treat them all the same, and fully understanding that they're different unique personalities. They like different things. I mean, you'd be shocked at how many of these techs love gaming right now, right? Like they love going home and playing Fortnite or whatever it is, like
whatever.
it's
But
crazy.
again,
Yeah,
easy connection with
yeah,
the generation of human you're trying to get behind, right? So one of my dealers in the Bronx, New York, man, awesome people. They're like, Sean, so yeah, you told me to take Instagram seriously. So I'm doing that. I'm doing some reels and I've got my 16-year-old daughter help me. I'm like, bro, the demo, right? Like getting into the car buying age, like this was genius. What were you thinking? He's like, yeah, everything I do, she tells me it sucks and I shouldn't post it. And so now she's helped me with the music. And like 2 weeks ago, guy couldn't have cared less.
yeah.
Really. I mean, not that he couldn't care less, but it wouldn't have been this. But it took a spark. It took a moment. We were having a meeting and I was just like, you guys realize these are free billboards. You can paste whatever you want on daily. You can even do it like 2 times, 3 times a day if you want. And there's no one's going to stop you for any reason. And so it was one of those moments, right? And it was only because we started looking at the data and brought it to the client's attention that, hey, did you know that during this time period, yeah, when that one girl worked there, you were great. Now you're not, but we can get great again. Here's how we do it. Let's go take these steps. Let's get back to our community-driven stuff. I don't think enough people get the work to live statement. I'm going to tell you that I am what is the term I'm looking for? I'm a convert. All right. I am a convert to the concept because I grew up living to work. Okay. As my parents, that is their parents. You grew up here. I don't have to tell you. We grew up in the Midwest, bro. That's just what it was. It's 40 plus hours. It's Monday through Friday. It's this, it's that, whatever. Right. My mom was an entrepreneur. So I always had that around me. So I was able to see that. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Mom kind of has some flexibility. But then it was like when shit hit the fan, she had to get 2 jobs because being an entrepreneur wasn't enough, right? And you were like, that doesn't look fun. I don't want to do that. Dad's got a cushy 9 to 5, whatever. So you see all these things and you know your life, you had your vacations, you do this. But what's got me right now, Jay, and I'm going to get a little long-winded on this because it's frustrating.
Love it.
Is the concept of retirement. I just met with my financial advisor and my wife. We all sat down. He's like, so, what age are we going to retire? I'm like, I'm fucking not, dude. So now what? How are you going to make sure that I don't ever have to work for someone ever again? That's your job. Ensure that Sean gets to do this, whatever this is, however this looks in 5 years. I don't care. I don't want to work for anyone ever again. That's retirement to me. But in order to live what I like to say, living retirement, is that I've got to have my time. So my time is extremely important to me. You and I, when we first had this, try to get this together, right? It was like, hey, can we flex this? Can we flex that? First thing I do, Jay, no bullshit. I look at my personal calendar, bro. Do I want to be out of town? Do I not feel like being around that day? Do I want to be hiking, kayaking, biking, whatever it is? People always say to me, Sean, man, what if your customers knew? If they call me during those times, they know because I'm not available and I'm not afraid to say it. I do my job for you. I'm a deadline-based business. So if my deadlines hit, it ain't none of your business what happens before the deadline or after it, as long as the work's performed on it and delivered by it. That's how we run our business. So I don't think enough people appreciate the opportunity, but we're hearing it, Jay. We're hearing people who are tired of the grind coming to us saying, Sean, how do you do it? How do we do what you do? And Jay, I'll leave you with this because I know you've probably heard this. This is my funnest, one of the most fun statements people can make to me. Well, Sean, you have your own business. So, I mean, obviously I could do it. Oh yeah. No, that's, yeah, for sure. It's super easy. It's super. Yeah. Just come up with an idea and then go, Yeah. So Jay, as an entrepreneur, I think you get me there. Hey?
100%.
Yeah.
That cracked me up. I've heard that myself, and I'm like, more than welcome. Give it a shot.
You do it. So I mean, big deal, right? How hard can it be? It's only been 9 years. Paid yourself. I paid myself the first 3 years less than I made in high school, but yeah, no big deal. It was fine.
Same.
It was fine, no big deal. So yeah, I like it. So Jay, for you, is the work to live? Is there a reversal there? Have you always been a work to live guy? Do you kind of see that changing as you get older? I just crossed the 40 threshold. My therapist told me this was going to happen to me. So here I am. How about you?
Yeah, I still am guilty of that. I still guilty of living to work a little bit, but I think it's different when you work for yourself, maybe a little bit.
Yes.
I do intentionally take time off though, and I've gotten better in the last couple of years at turning off my phone and truly kind of fading off into the abyss, right? Like I like it actually truly having a shut off, because what I found was that I come back more refreshed. I come back as a
Yep.
better version of me, like and actually not just getting run down with mundane things, but like actually being re-energized. And I'll read and I'll listen to podcasts and I'll do different things that help kind of fill my tank again. And so I've learned the importance of it. It still takes time for me to disengage, right? I still have a lot of trouble disengaging, but you know, I think as I'm getting older, I'm getting a little bit better at it. Still a long way to go in that regard, though.
Yeah, man, it's not easy, and again, I don't, you have the kid part of it, as you mentioned. So that's just another layer. Right.
Yeah.
And realistically, I tell people all the time, it's not about going to work, clocking it. It's not what it's about. It's about truly disconnecting from the phone, from the work, because I'm a guy who, if the work is there, I'm there. One of the things,
Same.
my clients say to me all the time, Sean, Jesus, you make me feel like I'm the only client. Exactly. Exactly. Because that's
You're
that's
doing
the
your
job.
job.
Right. Well, you're right. But my wife would tell you that it wasn't worth it, right? Most days, because it's always here. It's never far, right? Here I was, not even arm's length away. The other night I fell asleep with it under my pillow, like I'm waiting for the phone fairy to come and bring me a new one, and didn't even realize it, right? So it's just like, what is going on with me? But I found the app that tracks all my activity. So my wife's like, so now you're obsessed with the app that tracks all your activity? Yeah. Because I want to know where I can delete and move. And I was so proud of myself the last 2 weeks. I had down my phone time over the previous 2 weeks, and the metrics were in the right direction. And then this week, it seemed like all my client issues hit up. They all just had a problem at once. My phone was blowing up. My usage went through the roof. So this morning on the bike ride, I'm like, damn it, I had a bad week with my phone. And she's like, wait, what? Like a bad week with your phone? I'm like, yes, damn it. Like I'm all bummed out. So, dude, I totally get it. Jay, man, this has been a blast. We need to probably figure this out, maybe live sometime too, being in our general direction and all of that. And so, Jay, where can people find you, learn more about you after this show today?
Yeah, they can head out to wrenchway.com to learn more about the business. I'm always open to connecting on LinkedIn. I love the conversations that happen on LinkedIn. So just Jay Goninen on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's anybody can reach out to me anytime. I'm a pretty open book. I love talking shop and just talking about our business and in the industry as a whole. How do we get this better? How do we make this an easier life for the people that are in it? And I think that's anybody that ever wants to reach out to me and talk to me about that, I'm all ears.
Well, that's wonderful, man. We truly appreciate it. I want to give a special shout out to my boy, Joe Chambers, SDL. Joe and I were chatting and I said, Joe, I'm thinking about this guest I had on here today. Jay, what are your thoughts? I've never met him personally. And I'm pretty sure he came back with like 4 paragraphs of just, yes. So Joe
Thanks,
Chambers
Joe.
and the SDL crew, thank you for all you do. Next week on the show, we're going to be touching on Mental Health Monday as it relates to the service department with someone I think everyone's going to really appreciate us finally getting on this show. So I look forward to it. Thank you guys so much. Jay, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Everyone, have a great week, and we'll see you all again next week.